sexy, spooky bones. Yeah.
Hello and welcome to the Skeleton Boys, a horror movie podcast. I am Rolando.
And I'm Blip Blop Blow John.
And welcome to the show. This week we are reviewing Oddity. As always, John will give us the plot in 5 words and give our first thoughts, and then we go to a deep spoiler analysis. But first, we go back to TV Corner. We are reviewing Season 3, Episode 4, From There and Back Again.
Yes.
Yes.
It was an episode.
It was fine.
Yeah. There were some interesting things about it. There was a lot of
uninteresting things.
They could have just kept this in the last episode too, very quickly. Wrap it up real quick, but whatever.
But yeah, let's talk about the things I didn't like. I am not excited at the prospect of seeing a ventriloquist doll speaking. I don't have the confidence in this team. I don't have the confidence in this team pulling that off in any way that would be serious, and it would only come off as jokey or like at worst, embarrassing. But I don't know.
I mean, it could also not be presented as something that's actually there. It could be just like presented as like it's really fucking with people's heads again.
Yeah, because we have seen this ventriloquist doll before, and I was hoping that was the last time we'd see it. So much of my skepticism is that, again, like, I don't have any confidence this is going to be good as far as just, but I mean, that was kind of like to me a major downer for the episode. And
I don't trust Donna even more now. She has a breakdown, and I'm like, where's this coming from?
Donna seems like she's on the peripheral. She doesn't seem as important, right? She seems to be less...
But she has a breakdown where she forces Boyd, who's yelling at the cop who accidentally shot a unnamed character that's going to die off, because that's how the show rolls.
Is he going to die? We don't know. He's kind of alive at the end.
No, the unnamed character, that woman with the short hair, she gets shot and dies.
Oh.
She gets shot in the previous episode and she dies.
Yes. Oh, yes. The one that was being a bitch to Fat Mia.
Yeah, and then apologized, and then Fatima was like, oh, I'm going to eat you now.
Is she going to eat her? Is she going to just suck her blood? She's a vampire?
Cannibal, I guess? I don't know.
That's another, like, storyline that kind of just want to see what the resolution to that is, because it seems pretty obvious what's going on. You know what I mean? Like, there's no mystery to it. I mean,
I'm wondering if what's her name that got caught in the bear trap? The
Christy.
Christy's former girlfriend or current girl, whatever that is, whatever they're fucking are. Mari. Yeah. She was also one of the people that was under the influence of the thing, right? She was under the spell or whatever.
Yes, yeah.
And hopefully these people never hear this. Is it her acting is so bad that there's nothing weird about her going on that we don't notice because it's bad choices? Because all the other characters seem to have something fucking weird going on with them.
Yes. Yeah, like, well, what's her face admitted, right? I don't remember their names. Julie admitted that she doesn't remember, right? She doesn't remember what happened to her.
Yeah.
And Randall, too, is seeing locusts. She seems to be the only one that hasn't been experiencing anything. Unless her whole thing is that she's being used to help birth this kid, because she seems to be like the immediate doctor for her because like Fatimia was like looking better, looking more healthy, and she's like, oh, you're looking good, how's the baby, blah, blah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I guess they technically, like, oh, I guess Christy isn't there, right? She's kind of been the de facto doctor of the group,
stuck in that hut with
Kenny and Jade. Yeah. That's probably the story they kind of put the brakes on, you know, like what's happening there. They kind of just did a scene. And I kind of feel like, and I don't know if you get this sentiment too, that like if they would all just like sit and talk with each other, they would be less, they wouldn't be like this drama, you know, if they would like have it like a meeting together, like go meet at the church or whatever the fuck, like, and talk through like, oh, this is happening to me. This is happening to me. This is.
Yeah. I'm wondering if it's because all these characters seem to have a very no, I'm right sort of attitude. Like every single one of these characters, including the fucking kids, somehow like, no, I'm right. Like, are you? Because you all seem to keep getting in fucking trouble. But okay.
Yeah.
But and mind you, this episode also still takes place in the same night for whatever reason.
Oh yeah,
this
yeah.
is a two-part episode of the same night.
No, yeah. It kind of seems like anytime they. Oh no, that's not true. Never mind. I was gonna say something that I immediately dispelled myself. But normally it seems like when people drive into the town, it always ends up at night, except when the bus came during the day.
Yes.
And then because like the ambulance was trying to like,
but this was also like during the hours of the things that are going to come out.
Yes.
Because the first time the family they came in right before it was going to be a bad time. Remember, because they kept trying to convince me, like, hey, I can't explain it right now, but you need to come inside right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's why I was thinking, like, it seems like anytime new people come up, it's always at night. But then the bus came during the day, right? The bus showed up like on a rainy day. So I feel like, oh man, it seems more and more that like Tabitha's out was just so she can just get a information dump of like lore about what's going on, so you have like a clearer picture,
and to bring Victor's dad back. I feel like that's gonna be something,
and to give kind of like Victor something else to do, you know. We'll see how it plays out. I'm kind of disappointed that
the big reveal is that the fucking doll talks. I mean, it's like Victor's like, oh, there's something I can't remember. I did think that was probably sorry, Hair Prono. I know we're always like, you're fucking a godsend of the show. Victor and Laura Lee, is that her name, right? Their conversation was probably my favorite part of the episode. I mean, Sarah Myers. What the fuck?
Okay, yeah, Sarah.
I come up with Laura Lee. Laura Lee cakes.
Maybe you're hungry.
But how Sarah is talking to Victor, and Victor's like, or what did she ask? Like, why are you telling me all this? And he's like, well, because I'm about to do something scary, and you're the scariest person here. So, like, what could be scarier than this? And I was like, that's funny.
Sick bird.
And, where she's like, obviously she's like sad about that, but then she's also like smiling, like, fuck, that's who I am. Yeah. Like, I fucked up bad because I let this place get to me.
Yeah, like she killed her brother. She wanted to kill Ethan, right? The little boy.
So she almost did the Lord's work for us, but they decided
to. Divine intervention came in.
But no, she's I don't know if she's also still around to prove that you can get influenced and taken over by this thing but come back from it.
I think that's what it is. I think her trajectory on the show has always been like about redemption, right? Like she started like a fucked up place, so it's the whole in my opinion, the rest of the show is about being about her like redeeming herself from that moment. And I think that's great that the way they brought her back this season, saving the Matthews kids, and then her having scenes now with Victor, two kind of like, I wouldn't say odd, but like oddball characters, but like they're kind of like
I mean, they are, yeah.
Yeah, they're kind of like outcasts, as I think was the word I was looking for. And then it's kind of outcast characters coming together and stuff like that. So, because she is, what I remember, she was one that like heavily believed in this place, right? Like she was like a fanatical person. So, I thought that was a good story development. And I think that's where like I feel like the show does a disservice, because like Victor's like having to do this very serious remembering and like pain memory stuff, you know, and then it's with, oh no, I gotta find this ventriloquist doll. It's like, I mean, yes, granted.
With that said,
the
director that brought you one episode of Northern Exposure,
yeah,
everybody's favorite show that they talk about all the time.
Oh, I love Northern Exposure.
I mean, I did too, but like I realized recently when I try to bring it up in casual conversation, I'm like, oh, nobody remembers the show. What am I fucking doing? This is fucking early 90s.
I've been slowly rewatching episodes, and it is painfully 90s. Like the big running joke of the show is that the doctor's Jewish, and everybody calls him the Jew doctor. So it's like, yeah, this isn't this is really like PC anymore, dude.
But also that brought you Child's Play 3. Might be able to work with a doll.
Okay, you got me there. That night.
What if oh, it's not gonna be Brad, but what if Fiona Doroff voices the
doll? She just shows up as Brad Doroff.
Yeah.
Playing.
Yeah, fuck it. I'll take it.
She just does all her dad's roles now. I think I don't know how long they introduced the cop character who shot the whatever, but it seems like she's here to stay, right? It did seem like she's gonna. She might be a new cast member here. I don't remember. They didn't really give her a name. If she did, it was very quick. So, but she seems like she might be a part of the show.
Oh, what's his name? Logan? No, what the fuck's his name? I'm just making up names out here. Sorry.
She said what? Randall?
Randall. Yeah. Yeah, Logan. No, Randall. He's alive still.
Yeah, surprisingly, yeah, and I think, man, that's gonna be interesting because they kind of tricked Boyd, right? Because they want to isolate and treat Boyd like he's going through all of this, you know, treat him as an outcast, you know, a bit. Because it looks like I thought because Boyd chose to save the people in the ambulance and sacrificed Randall, which is what these like creatures proposed to him or whatever. Yeah. And so, but it looks like they fucked him up, but like kept him enough alive. So now Boyd has to deal with the consequences of that, right? So that's going to be interesting. Because that could mean.
After he just had that conversation with Donna, because they are both at a breaking point. But then Donna's like, here, drink this alcohol that I have. And he's like, oh, okay. I'm like, I don't trust Donna. I don't trust her.
Two constants on From is we don't trust Donna and we want the little boy to die. It's like the two most constant things about this show.
And it's one of those things like that breakdown Donna has again. I don't know if I believe it. Like Elizabeth Saunders is such a good fucking actress that I feel like she purposely made it that dramatic, and you want to feel for her. But I'm like, she really wants this baby to happen. She's like constantly gaslighting Boyd whenever they're alone.
Well, here's interesting, like something I read as a possibility that Tilly, the older woman who showed up on the bus, she's always been a little off, right?
Yeah.
That she also did, and she seems to kind of be encouraging she seems to be like kind of lying for Fat Mia, because she clearly sees that Fat Mia is like eating, weird stuff. And you know what I mean? She clearly suspects there's something up, but she's not telling anybody. Yeah. And somebody brought up the fact that when she first came on the bus, she was the one dancing in the rain. So people are led to believe maybe she's been here before. Like this is like her second go around.
Interesting. I believe
she hasn't.
I mean, she's the one that seems to be the most mystically inclined. Oh, let me read your tarot cards. Like that's such a fucking random thing to bring up in the show.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna be in your dreams. What's his name?
Yeah. I feel like he's Elgin.
Elgin, yes.
Yeah, Elgin. I just think they're I'm really happy they're committing to his story because his thing last year was kind of comical and like dumb about him seeing a very poor CGI skeleton woman in a kimono drown him and tries to choke him into water. But now, we learned in this episode that now that thing or whatever thing he's seeing is wants him to help him. So that's kind of
a funny way of showing that.
Yeah, because
he was just initially like, "Oh, your face is dirty. Let me help you," and pushes him into the water until he almost drowns.
That's one of those that whole Elgin thing. I feels like it's been a side plot for so long already on this show. They haven't really progressed it in a way, or focused on it enough. So we've been getting just little bits of information about it, and I just kind of want there to be more progress. I think not because I'm interested, but because it just seems to be like all this quote unquote in my opinion A plot is going on, and then fucking they have one scene with Elgin again seeing this fucking thing, and it's just like is it going to tie to the overall thing that's going on the show this year, or is it going to just be like a subplot of something? So it's just odd.
I feel like it's going to be like a next season thing.
Right. That's the way I feel. It's just I feel I'm slightly frustrated with that because it's like, dude, just this cannot be a big thing.
Also,
it doesn't.
On a third season of not getting any fucking answers.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, another season of not getting any answers. So, what is this? Heroes? I don't know. Cool. Anything else catch your interest? You want to mention or talk about?
We did mention Fatmia is now interested in blood from humans because what was she supposed to be doing to the body? I didn't understand why she was there.
Oh yeah, good point. It
sounded like she was tasked to do something, but I didn't understand.
To where she said that she would stay with the body and then they would go somewhere else. They put it in somebody's room. Yeah, I don't remember exactly why she. I mean, she only really stuck around because fucking she needed to eat the thing. She needed to eat it, so it's kind of weird. Yeah.
Other than that, no, I don't think there was too much going on. Jim's kid, I was gonna call him Joseph. Fucking Chucky's been stuck in my head. Whatever his younger or the other child that died is still fucking with him, kind of.
That's right. Yeah.
I think talk to the little kid. Yeah, forgive me. I don't know why Chucky names are just stuck in my head, and that's because I couldn't remember them when we were doing the.
We waited 3 seasons to oh yeah, we finally learned their names.
Yeah, the other son called Ethan and was the one that told him your mom, you got to go save your mom. But I'm glad it wasn't Ethan ran out into the dark. He knew enough to be oh, let me not do that. And Jim was fuck. So he goes and yeah. I mean, I know that was a previous episode, but I feel like that's going to come into play later, hopefully. I don't know. Unless it's just the thing fucking with him.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I had the father just hey, I'm getting fucking phone calls from your dead brother.
Yeah.
That would have And they would have been like, oh yeah, this place is weird. Like, yeah, that makes total sense. We won't answer the phone. Like, it was just simple, like, conversation you should be having. And I feel like the writers are just like purposely making these characters a lot dumber than they've been in the past. In some respects, right? But
yeah, I think the one thing this episode was severely missing was Dale.
Dale, I like that. Yeah, Dale shows up he just shows up a couple episodes a season. It just like it's funny, and he steals every scene he's in.
No, we're out here. Seems pretty stupid, but we're out here.
And what's great is he never dies. He's like clearly the guy that should die in these movies. Who's just very skeptic and hates everything, and then he never dies. So yeah,
like, I want there to be like a spin-off, just a couple of mini episodes where it's just Dale's story where he like got out and nobody noticed. Like not even he noticed. He was just like, what's this tree? And he like walks in it and falls down. He's like, huh? I guess I'm back outside. And they're like, where were you? Where's everybody else? He's like, I don't know. I did a lot of drugs. Who knows if I fucking saw anything? Like that's just the way it ends.
He's like, I'm gonna go get canned peaches from the pantry. I'll see you guys later. But yeah, so pretty good episode this week. Some things I was more mixed, but it is decent. Coming off of what I thought was like their best episode in all season so far, but we'll see. I didn't realize there's 10 episodes. We're like nearing the halfway point.
Pretty close.
So, yeah. All right. Let's move over to our main review of Oddity. John, do you want to give us the plot in 5 words?
Johnny. 5 word plot summary. Rolando, drum roll, please. For 2024's Oddity, coming in at number 3. Rude people parking fucking wherever.
You were so incensed. This movie's like, why is everybody just parking everywhere?
Why are they just parking in the middle of the thing for great aerial shots? Stupid. And it was like halfway through the movie when I realized they're the only people living in that weird apartment complex, rotunda, whatever the hell it is.
It's a castle, right? Or
kinda, yeah.
Castle-ish?
Castle-ish, yeah. It's like a square, right? I guess I should describe this real quick. It is a building that has like a rotunda sort of area in the middle. That's a square open area. And then
I see, yeah.
It's kind of, I think it's like 4 different sort of sectioned off apartments is the idea.
But they're the only people living there.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think people live in the other ones, or like they're not open.
Right.
To really secure that they're alone out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's a cool location that looks secluded is kind of like a big point of the plot.
Coming in at number 2 for 2024's Oddity. Ex's sister gives dude wood.
That definitely needs context, but yes, very
coming in at
very
number
well
1 for Oddity. Oddity has big hardwood.
Yeah, it does.
I would say the one caveat of this movie is the bunny.
Yeah, I know.
He even claps for us. He gives us a clap.
It does like a whole thing. Yeah, like I guess to say like last year we saw Damian McCarthy's first movie, Caveat. Enjoyed it. We thought it was yeah, 2023. Well, that's when we watched it. Excuse me. I don't know when it came out. I think it did come out in 2020, like you said.
So
4 years later, he's coming out on his second feature. I would say we both enjoyed Caveat. We had some caveats about it, but we liked Caveat. Yeah, it was fine. It was fine overall. We thought, okay,
Caveat,
cool.
Which is cultured fish eggs from the belly of a large fish.
Yep.
They're sometimes black. They're sometimes orange. That's Caveat.
That's what it is. Could put it on a spread of like some crackers.
Always tastes gross. It's
dude, yeah. But I would say I heard about Oddity, that it was like, oh yeah, it's actually a really good movie. People were excited about watching it and following us in social media and stuff like that. People were, talking about it as like a really good horror movie. And then I found out Damon McCarthy directed it, and I got more excited. I was like, oh, great, because we love this guy's first movie.
Yeah, when you told me, I was like, oh yeah, the same director as Caveat. I was like, oh yeah, let's fucking do it. I'm in.
Yeah, same.
I don't have to have any caveats about watching this movie. How many more times can we do that?
Squeezing caveat. And so I was super excited to watch this movie. John, give me your first thoughts.
Oh, I really liked it. We briefly talked about it beforehand, how I had to rewatch certain moments. There's a lot of things that they're introduced and have no tie-up or any sort of resolution whatsoever, and I think that helps the movie greatly. Something I do want to come from this film is either an anthology series, like a TV series that he does, because they have like a great idea right here. Like they're sitting on a great fucking premise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Especially because we don't really know if certain people actually moved on at the end of the movie, which was interesting.
Yeah. I would say this is definitely like, for me, I really enjoyed the movie first. Second, I think this is like a more confident movie he's made. This is a great second feature for him. I see more flourishes, and yet I still see the way he tells like these small kind of like dark tales and stuff like, and in this case, kind of like almost like a haunted house movie. Yeah. And I think it's perfectly set up with, I think, a very simple idea, right? Like if somebody comes to your door saying that there's somebody in the house, would you answer it? Would you believe them? And I think that's like one of those like things that is so relatable, and so it can be interpreted many ways. So
I would even go as far as to say it's very like Korean revenge film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, not as extreme, but the whole,
yeah. And it's something that like, I can relate to it because I did get into like a car accident once when I was much younger and stupid. I'm only slightly smarter now, but like I got into a car accident then, but I didn't have a phone. This is like the early 2000s. I didn't have a cell phone or anything, right? I got into a car accident and there was a house nearby, and I go and try to like knock on the door, be like, oh, could I use your phone and stuff like that? No answer. And I at the time I was like very mad about it. I was like, oh, like, why didn't they answer the door? Like, what if I was bleeding out and dying? But like, then years and years later, I would be more mature and think like, I wouldn't. If somebody comes banging on the door in the middle of the night, like nobody's going to fucking answer it.
No, fuck no.
Yeah, it'd be terrifying. It'd be like, you would just like try to hope the person goes away or like call the cops or whatever the situation is, right? So that was definitely like a relatable situation.
Also, you used to have a twin brother that had long white hair and was bald, so.
Yeah, no, I think it's my life. About that, I'm completely struck by the lead of this, Caroline Bracken. She was excellent, and I think that she has this very like striking image that she plays, the sister with the blonde hair, and it's like neatly combed and everything, like short blonde, like platinum blonde hair.
Or like they even mention it's white hair in the movie.
White hair and stuff like that, and it's like neatly combed, and she's wearing like, I don't know, a very simple dress, and she plays like a blind character, which I didn't know is that they're twin sisters. It's basically she's playing like a dual role in this.
That's why she plays these two sisters so starkly different that I checked the credits a couple of times to make sure it was the same woman.
Wonderful performance, yeah. Like she plays the first sister with like, I guess she has like long dark brown hair or something like that, and totally looks different. Totally would believe it would be a different actress until they kind of like pointed out that she's a twin, and then you kind of notice they look the same. Well, great casting. there. And I would say again, like all the cast is really good. I don't think there's like one missed note here between any of the characters and stuff like that, or the actors. I found all their performances like they're like subtle, they're like dark, they're like holding things back because they're like there's secrets between all of them, and there's like the directions really well, you know. And I think that's a strength of David McCarthy's is that he has like these small casts and they all take place like in one area, and yet he's able to tell like get so much out of it, like the way he's able to like build the suspense and the horror of the movie.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I can't think of anybody. Yeah, each and every one of these characters, these actors, was excellent. I will say when I saw the trailer first, real quick, because I need to make sure if it was the right movie. Oh my god, the character that appears at the front door, who goes by Olin, has a glass eye. And I remember thinking, watching the trailer, that's a really bad looking glass eye. But I think the idea is that is the cheapest version of a glass eye you can buy. Because this gentleman actually does have a glass eye.
I'm noticing that. I'm seeing his profile here on IMDb.
But just watching from the trailer, I don't know why I started thinking like, oh man, is this going to be corny? I don't know why that fucking threw me. That was like a horrible thing for me to think. I think. But
why are you not more expensive? Why don't you care what you look like? Getting full upset with him.
But should we start at the beginning? Because there is like one nagging question that I really wanted answered. All the other ones I could forgive. And I think it is kind of answered. And I think it's a little interesting. I theorized the sisters were probably aware they were going to die soon.
Also, what tipped you off?
At the beginning, when, there's like a random trap door on the second floor, which when I was kind of looking at it, I'm assuming that there used to be a staircase that went straight up to that area and they just got rid of the staircase to update the inside.
Right.
She's looking down and she kind of smiles, and then she covers up the area again, and then when she's like taking the photo, she calls her sister, but you haven't seen the sister yet. It says something like to the effect of "we're connected," or like I see it, or something. Which they don't really dive into how the sister that got murdered at the beginning also has abilities or whatever, is also like a seer or like a, because these two sisters grew up with their mother who was, I'm assuming, like a witch.
Yeah.
They don't really talk about it. It's just brief, you pick up with the clues.
Right, yeah. I would agree with that, yeah.
And I'm also assuming that our main character, the white-haired sister,
Danny. Her name is Danny.
Danny. I also want to say, I wonder if there would be like a third sister they didn't talk about. And that's why what happens at the end happens. Like, that's a coven, right? I feel like she's like a legendary sort of witch or something, because there's even a kind of throwaway conversation where somebody said, yeah, it seems like somebody's mother showed this woman what hell was like and she went blind. I was like, oh, I don't know. So I feel like there's like this whole back history that they didn't dive into about how these are powerful witches.
Yeah. Which is cool, because like Damien could like expand on that, because it seems like we do get a little. I thought at first it would be a subtle nod to Caveat, and then it was just very blatant. Like, well, this is the thing that was in the other thing, and it's all connected.
Yeah, this is a very real universe where all these things are real. Like,
yeah. Like I was like, oh, that's so cool. He put like a little subtle thing in there, and I was like, that's awesome. But
dare
it's
I say it's like he's doing a better version of what Conjuring's trying to do.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, if he can like,
it's not as corny, I'll tell you that. Like, it just plays better.
it never, yeah, like it never dawned on me right away when Danny shows up and she's like, she's like this, she works at this store with all these items, right? So
Odell's something, right?
Odell's Oddities or something like that is what it's called, the store. So the fact that like that to me opens up to a lot of things, right? Because you have all these like quote unquote in her, people send her like cursed objects and stuff like that. So I thought that was like a great setup to something that could expand. You could expand upon or not, and then you also have tied your, I think very smartly tied your first movie, because we do see what we're referring to is that in Caveat there's like a toy rabbit, which we probably won't spoil how it's used and stuff, but like there's like a purpose for it in the movie, and it's like
it's a sex toy. Sorry,
it's a sex toy. It's a sex rabbit. Yeah, but it's used. How it's used and stuff, but it's like it's in all the posters. It's like it's a very striking image of a weird, kind of like scary looking rabbit.
The clapping monkey toy.
Yes, yeah.
Which I guess they're gonna remake that Stephen King.
Yeah, super excited. The first trailer came out. Did I send it to you? Not to get off sidetracked. I did. Okay, yeah.
Looks great.
Looks interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, so like, yeah, these things are real, and Danny is the head of a shop called Odell's Oddities that has all these things, and her sister. Let me just what's her name? Before I keep saying
sister
Darcy and Danny.
Right. Okay.
Darcy's husband Teddy.
Yes.
Or Ted randomly goes to visit Danny, and I didn't understand why, but I guess that progresses the movie. But I feel like if he hadn't had done that, she would never have gone over, maybe, I think.
I feel like it's, without spoiling it, I think Ted is one of those guys who like, he is very
meticulous?
cordial, very nice, and meticulous.
Yeah.
Right? Because like he's very nice. He tries to put out, he has a front of like, oh, I'm a good doctor at this place, and like I'm polite, and there's like this tragedy that happens, right? Because Darcy's killed in the beginning of this movie.
Yes.
And then so it seemed, the way it was portrayed, it seemed like it was just like niceties and like, oh, I'm just being nice, visiting the poor sister, making sure she's okay, because I think, what did they say? Like it was like a year later, right?
Almost
a year.
Almost a year later, because a year later is Ted kind of casually says, yeah, you should come over when you feel like you're ready and we'll talk. And then she shows up a year to the day of when her sister was murdered to the house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which, by the way, that whole opening sequence was really fun. She's alone in the new apartment. I guess they had just moved in.
Castle.
Yeah. I should call it a flat. I keep calling it an apartment. I don't want to upset our European listeners.
Yeah, please.
So this flat, right? And she just set up like a tent in the middle of the flat. Which
do they call them tents? Would they call them like pop-ups or?
Yeah.
I don't know.
The draped on sticks, right? I don't know.
Fish and chips, pea soup. I don't
know. Bonnet. She popped up the bonnet, and she's like staying in there. And when that guy Olin, goes and tries to convince her, and then there's even like a moment where you're like, no, obviously don't let this guy in. But then when she starts to hear kind of rustling, he's like, just call the cops. It's okay. I'll stay right here. Just call the cops. Just call the cops, please. And she's like, oh, I don't get reception here. Why don't you call the cops? And immediately he's like, I don't have a phone. Just stay by the door, and if you hear anything, run away, blah, blah, blah. So I was at that point where I'm like, I don't think, obviously it's going to be a twist.
Yeah.
But at that point where I was like, this guy definitely didn't do it. This is so interesting. And then it doesn't even try to fake you out with that. Literally what happens right after that is she had a camera set up she's trying to take like immediately I thought of like paranormal photos, like she's trying to catch something.
Right.
They don't explain it, but that's like immediately where my mind went, which, you know, eventually proves to be true. And she sees that there actually was somebody in the flat when she was scrolling through it in her tent, and when she opens up the tent, this thing pops out with like a white mask.
Yeah, very like striking mask or whatever, and outside her tent or whatever, and then like kind of does like a quick cut, and she's like murdered or whatever. Yeah,
the tent's like full of like just splatter blood on, like you're still looking at it from the outside. It's a really cool image of, you see this figure of a person with a white mask and all black clothes and like a black hood, and looking into the tent with the hammer, and then cuts to he's still in the same spot with the hammer full of blood, and the tent is like from the outside just covered in blood with the light shining through. I was like, that's cool.
Yeah, I thought it was super cool. Yeah, it's like, oh, very striking. And they're not even trying to like, at first you think it's like, oh, maybe it's ghosts or like something, but it's something more practical without spoiling it, something more tangible.
I will also say, compared to Caveat, this movie is much more graphic.
Yes. Yeah, I would agree to that. And then in the preceding scene is that Olin is murdered by something.
Yeah. Like something smashed his head and like obliterated his head.
Yeah.
And we get our main character from Caveat, Johnny French, right, plays Declan, and he opens up his door and he's like drawing a bunch of images. He's also in this hospital drawing a bunch of images of things that are happening in the movie. And he's the one that discovers, he reaches down, his hands full of blood, and he pulls out the glass eye, so we know it's Olin. The thing about Declan's character is like, I feel like it's just fan service for if you've seen Caveat, right? Because he doesn't really go anywhere else.
He had an interesting he had a role that was kind of like you thought would amount to more, but kind of gets, you know, he only has really only a couple scenes in the movie, and it's mainly just to show that he's, I mean, I guess he's just there because, like, in my opinion, he's there because he's like, he's like drawing people. He's like noticing things about people, that this psychiatric hospital is not on the up and up, without spoiling it.
Yeah, I guess he also gets blamed for the murder, right? I think. So he disappears.
Yeah, I think so. I don't remember exactly.
I feel like that's what it was. I feel like he got blamed for Olin's murder, and Olin is
blamed for
Darcy.
Yeah, that he was the one. Whatever that, like, you know, like that was accused of the murder of Darcy. Yes.
Yeah, but that happens. What was I say? Like, it's so hard not to spoil this because like these twists are really fucking fun.
Because I really enjoyed the fact that like it kind of has, to me, it kind of has like a kind of a slow pace, but it's kind of like almost like a 70s type of aesthetic style storytelling. You know, very simple, very kind of like haunted ghost story.
Very spooky, yeah.
Yeah, very, very, without having to resort to like, I don't know, cheap modern tricks of, you know, jump scares, and it's kind of like done pretty, you know, it was creatively.
But yeah, we get Danny shows up unannounced, even though Ted did invite her, and he forgot. I don't think he forgot. I think it was just like, oh, I didn't think you're actually gonna fucking show.
Yeah, we find out Ted, is a new girlfriend.
And she swears that they didn't start seeing each other until after the murder, which has been like 11 months, but whatever.
Yeah.
Danny comes in with a big trunk.
We should probably mention the other co-star of this movie when you're alluding to.
Oh yeah.
He's a big part of the movie.
That's why they have this trunk, and they're like, "What's that?" And it's like, "Oh, it's a gift." And then when they open it, they don't really mention what it is, but they just close it, and that's when Ted's like, "I gotta go work because I work nights."
Yeah.
Oh, that was a fun little cool creepy thing Olin says at the beginning when Darcy's like, my husband's going to be here any minute now. And he's like, no, Dr. Tad or whatever works nights. And he's like, oh, shit.
Mm-hmm.
So you realize he's one of the patients, which is important to know.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of patients running around.
Yeah, it is. It's so easy to leave this hospital, by the way.
Apparently. Self-checkout.
But you get Ted going like, oh, I'm going to leave, and Danny's like, well, I'll just stay here then. Mm-hmm. And Ted is like, fine, even though his new girlfriend, Julie, what's her name?
Julie? Right? It's just what her. No, I think it's, Yana. Or maybe it is. Yana. Yeah.
Yana.
Sounds like Julie. Yeah.
Julie Dempsey, right? No. Yana is like, no, I don't want her to stay here. And he's like, no, you can stay. It's fine. Whatever. Because we're in the middle of nowhere. It doesn't matter. Which makes it seem like he's being a nice guy.
But I like that you immediately see the contrast in women, right? Because we meet Darcy very, not very much. We don't spend a lot of time with her, but yet we kind of get a sense that she's like artistic. She takes pictures, and she's a little more simpler. Well, Yana is much more of a city girl. Kind of like cares about her looks, wears makeup, has her hair done, stuff like that. So it's
blind.
It's like, what are you doing, Ted? What is two different type of women?
There was one thing that I started thinking about, which I know people aren't probably going to think about, but I'll explain it later. That I thought was like funny in my head to think about. And how many more times can I say think about? So Yana eventually ends up staying just behind. I'm like, fuck, okay, I guess I'm stuck here with Danny.
Oh, she can't find her keys.
Oh, that's right.
Because Ted was like, oh, just get your stuff and go and just leave her there, whatever,
And Danny asks, like, you don't like my gift? It's something, she words it like it's customary to give a second marriage a wooden gift or something. And she's like, we're not married. Like, she kept repeating, we're not married. And she said, you don't like it? She's like, I think it's a bizarre gift and I don't really like it. And then randomly the thing pops out of the suitcase, and it's a big wooden person that probably is about 6 feet tall, sitting at the table.
It's like a golem, right? Like a wooden golem.
Yeah.
Like that's what I thought. I don't know if this is accurate or not, but it reminded me of like there's like a Jewish story about the golem, like a large wooden figure.
Oh, okay.
I only know this because I saw one episode of The Simpsons, and this is where I got this information. So,
but this thing alone by itself is pretty terrifying looking. Like I couldn't help but agree with Yana the entire time. Like this character clearly is not somebody that should be there. I don't know. But yeah, this thing is like large wooden figure. It kind of reminded me of that horror Pinocchio movie that came out in the fucking late 90s or mid 90s. You know what I'm talking about?
Horror?
Yeah, the horror Pinocchio movie where it's like a large version of like the Pinocchio doll, except like, the no clothes, just like big wooden doll. It starts like murdering people for somebody. Anyway.
What's it called? Are we going to review it?
Yeah, we're going to review it. It's gonna
Liar, Liar. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, but this thing is like terrifying. It's like got a face that looks like it's always screaming.
Mm-hmm.
It's very menacing looking. Like it's not a small wooden figure. It's like a very large wooden figure. So I think the first question in people's minds is like, how the fuck did this fit in this trunk? Even though the trunk is pretty large, it's like a big wooden figure.
Mm-hmm.
And Yana's walking around, and she goes upstairs, which this flat is kind of like an open floor plan sort of flat, right? Does that make sense? Like you can see everything except from the bedroom or the bathroom, which both have doors. She like looks down because she's like looking at her phone for something, right? And this wooden figure is looking up at her, and she like drops her phone. And then that's when she starts to go down, and she investigates that this thing has got holes on the top of his head with a symbol that kind of connects them all together. And there's like totems. I don't know what to call them. Like little trinkets, like a lock of white hair. Like, oh, well, who obviously this is coming from Danny.
Blood. Pictures of the girls. Yeah.
Sisters as kids and sisters as adults.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you can kind of deduce what's about to happen, right? Like it's kind of obvious. But I don't know. The thing is, like, with all these things which lead up to, like, oh, we saw this happening, I still wouldn't have called that ending.
Yes. I actually, when we get into spoilers in a sec, I can say, but I'll comment on it before we do that. I thought it was perfectly explained, though I kind of felt like the film was trying to like pushing to be like, this is all going to make sense. Let me just meticulously explain to you why things happened the way they happened, which I was mixed on slightly, but I can't argue with it because it did make perfect sense. Does that make, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Especially with some of the dialogue that Danny gives. She does mention, oh, we should wait till spoilers.
Yeah.
We're not going to to you guys, sorry. You don't need to know.
So do you want to get into spoilers now?
Do not scrub ahead.
Wait! No, stop talking, guys. Stop the podcast. Please stop the podcast. Because we're about to go into spoilers.
So yeah, she casually mentions that she did kill somebody else. So Danny's clearly like some sort of master of mystical arts. That's why I'm like, okay, she's also kind of like a witch, I guess, is like the
which was what
way. Yeah,
I would describe it. Yeah, as a witch. Yeah.
And she mentions like she does still need to pay for something she had done previously. Oh, it's also important to note, I don't think we really mentioned this, but like all the weird stuff that she has in her shop is all cursed. And she's explaining to somebody, hey, don't steal anything because everything's got a curse, and the curse is only lifted when you purchase it. Then I can lift the curse and let it out. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of people have gotten items and have come back quickly, and this one in particular that just came in, like it's like this little like bellhop bell. The two previous people that had it both were murdered, but I'm here to keep it safe. Like, so she's got dangerous stuff in her shop, including this Oddity, big wood. She's giving her sister's ex-husband big wood.
Yeah, and I think
she mentioned she did something wrong, or like she used her powers to kill somebody or whatever, right? And she needs to pay for it.
I think so. It's kind of. There's like a hinted at much more elaborate backstory with her and who she is and stuff like that, with her powers and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, because it seemed like this is a big spoiler. Our, I guess, main protagonist Danny does die. But it almost felt intentional because it quickly outs Ted as the mastermind of who killed her sister, because a part of Danny's special abilities is she's able to like touch certain objects as long as the other person touched it with their skin and see everything that happened in like the recent past. Mm-hmm. So she's aware that Ted orchestrated or ordered his orderly, who you mentioned was a patient previously.
Oh yeah, I should. Yeah, like I think this movie is like that's the part I was mentioning. Like, and like they purposely tried to neat this up because we meet Ivan, who is like kind of a bully to some of the patients, and yet he's the orderly. He's kind of like a bully to like what's his name, Declan, and even Olin.
Yes.
And a few other patients, but he just seems like mean and very crass person. So, but what's said at the end of, so what ends up happening is that Ted kills Darcy because Darcy loves him, and Darcy, when it wouldn't be easy on him, I'm assuming, and
which was bullshit. And then because he quickly kind of tries to brush away, and also I wouldn't have full, like, it wouldn't be my flat anymore.
Yeah, he was more worried about like the fact that they had just bought this. He had just bought this property, and like he was afraid that Darcy would take it from him or something like that. He invested all this money into it, so he concocts a plan for Ivan, who to go and kill Darcy, which is Ivan's the guy, the man in the mask, who does it. And to what you were saying is kind of like they explain. Ivan ends up trying to go. Ted is worried about Danny still at the house, so he sends Ivan over to whatever, finish her off or kill her, and he goes along with it. Only Danny is already dying. You know, she's already had fallen from the hole that he left open, and the wooden creature, like, I guess scares him, doesn't kill him, but scares him or something, or like I don't know, like frightens him and
left him immobile.
Yeah.
So it is also, I think we forgot to mention that trap door that I said I think previously used to be a staircase led up to that. The same one that Darcy was smiling down out of.
Fixing,
at the beginning when she mentioned, oh, we're connected, or we whatever. Ted had this plan when they were having the argument where Danny was saying, I know you did all this. I know, like, you said you didn't want to tell her that I didn't love you anymore, which would have been simple. She would have gotten over it, trust me. He's pulling that piece of wood and placing the phone right behind it and said, hey, when the cell phone rings, come and grab it, because that'll be the detective.
Mm-hmm.
And when Danny hears the phone, I think in my head it feels like she's fully aware that she's gonna drop to her, like, her death.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it was intentional. Like, she was like, I need to sacrifice myself for this shit to work.
Yeah, I kind of the way I kind of interpreted it was like those like clever, like, we're gonna set it up in the first act and then we're gonna pay it off in the third. That's kind of like how I saw it. Was it but yes, yeah, like, and Danny falls through it, but she has the connection to this wooden man or whatever, and so like she was able to basically frighten and paralyze Ivan. And this is the part of the movie that, like, if that's like, we really got to like sew this up and make it make complete 100%, locked sense here. That Ivan says that he was Ivan was a former patient that Ted released and got him a job there, which is why Ivan's doing these things. And it kind of like one of those things where it's kind of like they need to explain why Ted got Ivan to do the killing, but it almost seems like
Ivan knew way, way too much. Ivan was also aware that Ted was already having an affair.
Yes. Yeah. Like, it's kind of like that, like, the idea that it just seems like this Ted character becomes too like there's no dimensions to him. He's just pure evil, right? Like, he's just this crazy, exactly. And it just doesn't, it's not realistic, right? Like, I don't know. I think it could have, normally a movie like this would be like Ted accidentally kills Darcy because he can't break up with her, or, you know what I mean? It's like this, like, and he tries to cover it up, but it just seemed like he's like this doctor who's not still, like, I'm clear about how the movie explained his motivations, but it doesn't really seem like he kind of went through a lot just to break up with the girl. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, I think that's why I was saying there was like a subtle, he wasn't going to be able to keep that place if they broke up, so he kept lying about certain things, so it made it seem like, oh, he's not a suspect.
Right. Yeah.
Because I have a feeling that Yana was going to be. I think if they had fleshed out Ted's character more, Ted is probably somebody that kills a lot of people.
Yes, that would have been more plausible, right? That he's somebody who enjoys killing people, or something like that, along those lines.
He was giving like big David Cronenberg and Nightbreed energy, like this. He's probably a serial killer.
Yeah, and I think that to me is one of the few weaknesses in this story, is that like the main, Ted's motives and the character isn't fleshed out enough, and for all intents and purposes, like every other piece of the movie, I think works perfectly, and it's a great little, scary movie and everything. But it just, the motivations of the character just seemed like too extravagant, like, I don't know. It's just, I felt like they should have chose either one. Like he should have either been like so like you said, like somebody who enjoys killing people, or maybe this happened like in a act of crime of passion kind of thing, accidentally killing Darcy.
Like she fell through the trapdoor by accident.
Yeah. That could have been revealed and stuff, but you kind of like, I like how you kind of immediately assume something's wrong with Ted. Did you get that vibe?
Yes.
Almost immediately, yeah. New wife, new girlfriend, moving on, yeah.
I almost felt like, he totally killed her. Like, I don't know. And luckily, Darcy is nice enough to become a ghost real quick and scare Yana away from like the most sensible character I've ever seen in a horror movie, where she's like, fuck this, and she just fucking
we never see her again. That was perfect.
You get like one voice message going like, Ted, you're fucking insane. I'm not stepping foot in that fucking place again. And 2 people have been murdered there, and you want me to come back? Fuck right off. Don't talk to me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. She ended up being a lot smarter than she came off for her character and stuff. But yeah. Cool. Do you have any other thoughts, or?
No, other than we have one more thing to talk about. So after Danny dies, and of course our wooden man ceases to do stuff because that was connected in that sense. You find out through conversation, because Ted has reinstated Ivan as a patient and tied him up. Mentioned he was able to easily drag that thing out into the courtyard area and burn it up. Also, there's another patient that they've casually kind of like shown a bit that has like a mask. He releases that guy onto Ivan, and the assumption is this patient killed and ate Ivan, so that ties up that end.
Bites his foot. Yeah,
it would have been better if Ivan survived, because Ivan wanted to confess everything. So that's where it has like a weird twist, because it's like, holy shit, Ted's gonna get away with this. And for a second there, I was kind of like, that's fucked up, but that's kind of, I'm okay with this. This is kind of like a interesting ending. But it's not so easy, because oddly enough, there's a package from Odell's Oddities, Danny's old shop, comes in the next day, and it happens to be that bellhop bell, or like hotel bell, that they talked about at the beginning. And our skeptic Ted, who's like, ghosts don't fucking exist, there's like a tense moment where he's not going to ring it, and he decides to ring it, and he kind of hears some things. He looks around, and he's like, it's nothing. And then the last scene you see is that bellhop that they had mentioned at the beginning of the movie, that still came with the ring of the bell, even though he was like a angry bellhop, appears. And then you're like, okay, Ted's going to get his come up.
Yeah, that image is like, oh, he's definitely going to die, because he was like the murderous, angry bellhop.
Yes.
So, yeah. So that was cool. That was a nice little like, oh, yeah, this is real stuff. This is like something, everything that Danny was saying was true. She wasn't just, putting on a front or anything. So, yeah. And she almost seems like Danny like had the foresight to think like, okay, well, I'll send the bell. The whole thing is like Danny clearly suspected Ted and was trying to like get him to admit and to try to get revenge on him for the killing of his her twin sister. So very cool.
I thought the same thing. Like, oh, she clearly sent that beforehand, but it would go against everything she was saying, because she had mentioned she wanted Ted to really go down by being exposed and all that stuff. So why would she send that bell as like a last minute thing if the whole point was for him to live and like have his entire life destroyed? So theory suggests that either Danny's spirit is still out there fucking and killed him, or there's like another family member.
That's true too. Yeah.
Because this could easily be a bunch of movies.
Right. Yeah. Because the way they like folded in caveat into this movie, apparently, from what I read, IMDb, David McCarthy's has made other like short horror movies, and they're also folded into this kind of. They're all. I guess the better way to say that is like they're all like in the same universe, right? So
you get a short that introduces Olin and why he is the way he is.
Exactly, and this kind of like the resolution to Olin's story, which is interesting because I would like to kind of get more information about that character, right? Because he was so interesting. And like his eye, he's very striking as the eye, and he's like long haired and
murdered his mother, but then he
murdered his mother. Yeah,
his mom was the person that ripped out his first eye.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like that's cool that they have like that he's taking all these little shorts that he did and like making them, adding them to each movie he's done so far. So really cool. All right. Do you want to rate the movie now?
Yes.
All right, John. How many sexy spooky bones do you want to give it?
Sexy spooky bones will you give it? Sexy bones. Ooh, sexy bones. Well, I know a journey. Show us your sexy spooky bones. No, wait, don't do that. Just rate the movie.
We had this conversation last week. I guess there are a few things.
We have it every weekend. It's how we rate it. Just kidding.
We could critique about this movie, but I'm going to give it 9.5 sexy spooky bones.
Whoa. Nice. Very high. I'm going to give it, I think this is, like I said, a complete step up. I think David McCarthy's making really good horror movies right now. So I'm always excited to see what he does. Though I was a little disappointed with some of the story elements. Like Ted's motivations could have been more clear, but I am like very impressed with his storytelling, and I think the cast is terrific and everything. Like the way he shoots his movies, they feel like no other type of movies, right? I'm going to give it 8 though.
Nice. Yeah.
8 out of 10. All right, guys, gals, non-binary pals, thank you for listening. And as always,
stay spooky. Enjoy this 2+ hour episode brought to you by the Boner Boys.